Hello and welcome all to Avalon. Thank you for joining me, Leos. This is my first Leo video, and I'm so excited to be doing it, especially given the fact that today is the full solar eclipse, at least in the northern hemisphere where I live. And interestingly enough, the astrological sign of Leo, your ruler is the sun, okay? Your ruling planet is the sun. Sorry, I was looking, I already picked out your cards, all right? I shuffle in advance, I meditate, and then instead of shuffling and letting the cards fall, I actually go through and pick them out intuitively. So I've done that, and it often takes a minute or two, so that's why I do it off camera. So we have more than just the 5 card spread for you today. We've got actually 6 because a second card wanted to come out in the physical space. We also have, and I haven't looked at these yet, and I'm going to do my best to show you them without looking at them. We also have these karma cards that take a planet, a sign, and a house and combine them to give you a particular message, okay? And I can't believe how accurate these are. They always seem to be appropriate for the actual astrological placements going on. We also have an angel oracle card that I picked out for guidance as well, okay? And yeah, so I picked out the cards, and often readers, we will look at the bottom of the deck energy. That is the card that winds up at the bottom of the deck when you're done. And we wound up with the sun, which is, what did I just say? Your ruler, right? The ruling planet. We actually wound up with the sun in reverse, which to me makes perfect sense given the eclipse that we're going through today for your ruler, the sun. So, because the sun card in reverse is sort of a blocked energy of the sun, okay? And if you think about eclipse, it is a literal blocked energy of the sun, okay? Additionally, underneath that, we have the Emperor in reverse, which I kind of see as like the divine masculine energy, and the divine masculine energy corresponds to the solar plexus chakra, which corresponds to the sun. And again, that was in the reverse position, okay? So there's a lot of blocked masculine energy, which means that there's a lot of I want to say placidity, but I don't know why so much. There's we're in a period of inaction, a period of preparation for action that will be taken soon, okay? All right, we're gonna start now with the recent past energies for Leo, okay? We get the Death card, and not to worry, the Death card does not, in almost all instances, does not denote actual death, because we go through so many deaths in life that are also important. I'm getting that recently. Here, I'll show you the card first. Death. It's a little creepy card for sure, but deaths are all about, the Death card especially is all about, it's about endings, but it's also about new beginnings. You might see, you know, obviously here's Death riding in on their horse with a black flag, etc. But you see the sun shining off in the corner here. It denotes a new dawn, a new day, right? Literally, your day will be dawning. It is just not that time yet. In terms of collectively, we are going, collective energies, we're going through a sort of, certainly the masculine and feminine energies are going through a bit of a streamlining in terms of releasing a lot of old baggage, old habits, patterns, even people that no longer feel good to us, okay? And we're actually using our heart space, our emotions, to direct us as to what are the things that are meant to be let go of right now because they're hard, and what are the things we're meant to be working on and growing because they're hard. We have a tendency maybe to be unsure of what to let go of when we're trying to decide on two paths and both are hard, but they're hard for different reasons. And if you really tune into why something feels difficult for you, your assessment, your heart assessment, will lead you in the right direction, okay? So it's tuning into that intuition to know, is it time to leave that job because it's really hard, or is it time to buckle down because it's really hard and maybe you're not doing enough? Because these are general readings, I can't tell you exactly what the answer is. I can tell you that there's probably a group of you who are going to tune in and find out that what you thought you needed to let go of is actually what you need to invest your self in. And some of you are going to come to the realization that something that you've been trying to salvage actually isn't meant to make the journey with you, and it's time for that to be sort of sloughed off, right? Like a wet dog shaking off all that water. They're not meant to carry it with them, right? And it's a lot harder to walk around soaking wet. So you're meant to just shake that off. And that's kind of the period that we're in collectively. And certainly it's the period that Leo is in, okay? You're going through a rebirth, right? But before the rebirth can happen, there has to be a death, right? Okay. We're going to move on to the current physical energy. And we got two cards here. I'm going to flip them at the same time. Okay. Interestingly enough, we got 5 cards. 5s are all about change at their base level. And it can be change for the better or change for the worse. Chaos, conflict, change, So I'll show you. We have the 5 of Pentacles. And we have the Hierophant in reverse. Okay. The Hierophant is a major arcana card, which suggests that this particular energy represents a major turning point or at least a significant energy in the life of this Leo and the Leo collective, okay? And again, the Death card I forgot to mention is also a major arcana. So this it can represent a collective of small deaths, but and in that way it can be a big energy that is represented in the physical light, a whole bunch of small changes. But generally speaking, it has to do with a big death, the end of a major cycle. End of a major cycle. All right, and so in the Leo that I'm connecting with, Leo, what I'm getting is that during this pre-eclipse period, during this period of release leading up to a period of, it's weird, it's kind of like you're in the energy of this, and you have been in the energy of this sort of slow release, slow, like little bits at a time. I feel that it's picking up a bit at the moment, but I feel that the eclipse today, with your ruling planet, will be the end of the death energy, okay? It'll be the end of the death energy, okay? So what I'm getting with the physical here and the Five of Pentacles and the Hierophant, the Five of Pentacles often represents the lesson of learning that even when our physical reality tells us that we are separate from the other, that we are separate from God, that we are alone, that we have been left out in the cold, that we are actually not, that we are connected at all times, okay? It also represents, for me, it represents physical pain, okay? The Hierophant, traditionally, there are many meanings. It has to do with the spiritual teacher and the student, has to do with contracts and faith, and that's just what I keep getting the most, is that that Leo is feeling very much left out in the cold, possibly actually physically in pain, but I feel that it's more about, pardon me, a lack of confidence. Excuse me. I felt this intense solar plexus energy when I asked to be connected to the Leo energy earlier before doing this reading. And I assumed that it had most to do with, you know, the sun being your ruler. But I'm getting now that these little deaths have been causing a sort of crisis of confidence for Leo, okay? Leo, your energy in general is very raw, which I meant that in like a lion roaring kind of way, but at the same time, Ra is known to be the sun god, so there you go. It is a very, okay, and so this might be actually a purging of that Ra template, which is the sort of shadow masculine, which is that like god of war, that, because masculine and feminine energies both have, you know, a positive and a negative, a light side and a shadow side, okay? The sort of shadow side of the masculine energy, and again, Leo is very much that masculine energy. I think what's been happening is this sort of release of that raw energy, that god of war, the really aggressive aspect of your Leo nature, okay? And don't get me wrong, I love you Leos. You are typically happy, bright, shiny. Everybody loves you. You've got this wonderful disposition and people warm up to you, which makes total sense, right? You may have been going through some situations lately where you feel yourself kind of like the sun has those sun flares that just like, you know, well, they flare. that flare out like this intense energy. You may have been having instances like that where and you find yourself just being like aggressive or angry or just a lot, okay, expelling a lot of energy, and maybe after the fact you don't quite feel like yourself. You feel like that didn't really feel so much like me. It didn't feel good, okay? And that's where I got this whole tune into what you need to let go of, okay? If it doesn't feel good, that's one of those things that you should let go of. If it doesn't feel good in the way that you know things should feel good, okay? There's like, bad things can feel good for you, but you know that they feel different than the good things that feel good for you. Good Lord. Okay. So I feel that Leo has been releasing a sort of shadow aspect to themselves, a competitive, and I saw this in the pre-read, competitive energy, a sort of a fighting energy, a warring energy, but it was very much being released, and I see that now it is being released. But that release might leave the Leo feeling slightly empty, like not like themselves, partially because of how they didn't like these bursts of energy they were letting out, but also just a lack of energy, like tired, exhausted, and having a bit of crisis of confidence, crisis of faith, and that this will be resolved, a crisis of faith in the idea that we are constantly connected to God, even when we are releasing these really tough energies, these tough patterns, and we feel very separate from God. We feel very separate from the collective. Sometimes we feel like we put ourselves on the outside, like it's not even that we've been locked out, but that we've done it to ourselves. I believe that this is only a temporary passing energy, okay? So that was a physical for Leo. We're moving on to the emotional space. I love this card. So it is the Six of Cups. I'll give you that. The Six of Cups. Emotionally, I'm getting that excuse me, Leo is being receptive, or is open to being receptive to the guidance of an elder. They don't have to actually be older. They might just be more spiritually advanced. Again, that Leo is emotionally making space for a new pure energy to come in. Emotionally, Leo is doing their best to keep their eyes on love, to keep their eyes on the cup, to keep their eyes on the light, okay? To keep their eyes on their true essential energy, not their shadow energy, as this raw template exits. And I feel that because your ruler is the sun, I feel that you're feeling this removal of this shadow God of War template more than others. And I feel that Leo is doing their very best to, like I said, focus on the light aspect as opposed to the shadow aspect of their essential nature. Leo is getting emotional satisfaction through nature and through a relationship with somebody else, whether it's romantic or familial, social. And this sort of gift of nourishment, emotional nourishment that the Leo is receiving is also serving to aid in this confidence slash faith issue that they've been having. Communicating. Leo is communicating through the heart space with those they look up to, and this is serving them. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So we're moving on to the mental space of the Leo. Very mental. It's really interesting today. You're very, mental in the mental space, emotional in the emotional space, and physical in the physical space, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure necessarily what it means, but it's quite interesting. So, okay, in the mental space, we have the Four of Swords. So swords, like I said before, all about the mind, communication, truth, problems, and solutions. And the Four of this suit represents a period of rest, a period of synthesis of knowledge, of energies, a period of receptivity, a period of evaluation, and assessment and redirection. Okay, so in the 1 through 10 of the tarot, in the suit of swords, the card that comes before the Four of Swords is the Three of Swords, which I think was here. Yeah. It's the Three of Swords. You can see, obviously, it represents sort of heartache, heartbreak, can be painful communication, painful thoughts. And so the Four of Swords is the step that the Fool takes after the Three of Swords. So it is a period of retreat, not because, you've been defeated, but certainly because you've been attacked or hurt, okay? That's why it's a time of healing, a time of meditation, receptivity, a time of reviewing the hurt and finding the element of truth in it. What is the truth of the situation? What led you to the point of being hurt? Was it something you did, or was it something that somebody else did? Either way, it requires revision. It requires taking time out and figuring out what step to take next, okay? So mentally, Leo is turning inwards. Mentally, Leo is reviewing. Oh, that's exactly what I just said, actually. Mentally, Leo is reviewing what I'm getting is actually not the hurt that they were caused, but the hurt that they caused somebody else, possibly through the sort of solar flare release of raw energy that I was talking about. It can be snipping at people. It can be just an overly aggressive energy where your way or the highway, even if you're kind about it, is just this projective energy, this male action energy oriented, okay? Which is interesting because you're kind of you're flipping the energies in order to give yourself the opposite medicine, right? So if the issue was this competitive, possibly angry, competitive bursts of energy that you've been having as a result of these, the death of that template. Oh, I just lost my space. Oh yeah, so you're reviewing these hurts, but at the same time you are it's important to not overthink about the hurts that you caused or that were caused to you, because then you're just hurting yourself a second time, okay? Like these 3 swords, I think of the Fool sitting here, and again, let's call him Leo because the Fool just sounds so negative. And again, that's just the name of the character at the beginning of the story, right? Leo is laying here and they're reviewing these hurts, this pain that's been caused either to them or by them. But if you stay in this energy too long of reviewing, it becomes obsession and it ends up just essentially skewering yourself when you don't need to. You've already gone through the energy, the hurt energy, the issue. You've already gone through the issue. You don't need to revisit it once you have collected the gold sword. Once you have collected the sword, the sword of truth, the element of truth within the conflict, okay? I mean, but you're doing exactly what you need to be doing, right? You've reviewed the issue. You're reviewing the issue mentally because you don't want to go through it again. You're reviewing the issue mentally because you don't want to continue to feel left out in the cold, and that it could be a feeling that you're causing yourself, or a feeling that gets caused because of the way you've hurt somebody else, right? I think that review is a good idea in the mental space for sure. Emotionally, I think it is a absolutely wonderful thing to be taking in this advice from somebody else, friend, family, a spiritual teacher, whomever that might be, who's giving you this gift of understanding and communication in the realm of emotions, allowing you to talk this stuff out. Go with that. Go with if nature is making you feel better, making you feel more whole, sit with it. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to the outcome. And I like to remind people before we look at this that by the simple act of watching this video, you may change the outcome of this card, right? One tiny, tiny decision, one big decision, any of it can change the future outcome, okay? So if it's a less than ideal card, don't worry. That doesn't have to be your future. Don't focus on it. Focus on the guidance that's being given